Howdy folks, it's episode 55 of Bonfire Man. So what is Bonfire Man exactly? Well, it's an experimental Snowflake Iron Man account. This account started when I asked the question, how far can you get in RuneScape if you're only allowed to interact with everything exactly once? So once you've chopped a tree, it's exhausted and you can never chop it again. Turns out, did the math, can't get very far. So the next question was, how do we add a mechanism that lets you respawn things after they've been exhausted? And I thought about the bonfires from Dark Souls. You rest at a bonfire, everything respawns. So here's the pitch. We start locked to some number of chunks in the game. I have to exhaust all of the content in those chunks exactly once. Then I get to randomly select a new chunk. When I pass into the new chunk, I rest at a bonfire, respawning all of the exhausted entities in the old chunks. Now I have to do all of that again in the new chunk and the old chunks. I finally have a reasonable goal for this account, and it's to get a fire cape. More details on that to come later in this video. And this account is, by necessity, much more experimental than most Snowflake Iron accounts. This is the part of the video where I speak the forbidden RuneScape words. This account has a flexible rule set, and you click off the video in a rage. But in all seriousness, we need to have flexible rules for the account concept to even work. If you want to check out my rationale for all the existing rules, check out the Google Doc in the description. Let's get to the playthrough. This episode, we've got a new chunk in the wilderness. It is the Dark Warriors Fortress. Not a lot insanely interesting out there. Dark Warriors are a new enemy. They don't really have any exciting drops necessarily, but they do count as a Slayer task, which is why we have to light a bonfire there. In addition, there are 34 coal rocks there, which is a pretty big deal. That's a pretty huge increase in the amount of coal I can get per cycle, especially now that I have the mining gloves that let me get more coal per node. There's a shooting star there as well. I will not be able to mine that to depletion until next cycle, but I will be 100%ing the chunk this cycle. Let's pop over there. Let's cross the fog wall. I'm going to take all of this gear off so that I'm not risking it. Okay, here we are at the chunk border. Let's go ahead and cross the fog wall here. There we go. New music track unlocked. Army of Darkness. Nice. Okay. Hey, folks, it's a couple minutes in the future, Marstead. I did light the bonfire, but screwed up the recording, so I'm just going to do it again here because it's pretty important to this series. I'll get slightly more fire making XP in this cycle than I usually do. 80 rather than 40. Bonfire lit. Let's rest at it. And everything's respawned. That's totally the first time I did that. Okay, back to the cycle. So yeah, the main thing here, these bears are actually from this chunk over here. So there's some skeletons, and there's the Dark Warriors themselves, and 34 coal rocks. So I'm going to start working through the Dark Warriors to start. I think some of these guys are actually pretty high combat level. Like, I'm going to have to make sure I protect from melee. I don't think I actually have to worry too much about running into any other players here, though. All right, so this first guy outside is combat level 145. I'm just going to try hitting him without praying really quick to see how bad it is. I've also changed my resolution, so it might take me a bit to get all my UI stuff moved around. He hits relatively hard. I should probably prayer flick. It's also going to take forever. He's got 165 health. That's ridiculous. It's got 32 of these guys to work through. All right, first one of these guys down, drop nothing. All right, start working through the rest of them. I guess there's a couple that are only like level 8. That's not too bad. Got to pick up all these runes on the ground too. I don't think I've ever been in here outside of for clue steps, so I didn't realize this place was multi-combat. I just got mobbed by these 3 guys, so I might want to actually bring some food. I guess I could just use my dueling ring to warp back to the Ferox Enclave every time I run out of rare. That's not a horrible strategy. And I can stagger them so they can't both hit me at the same time. I'm going to start by just trying to kill all the level 8s just to get them removed and marked here. They die in like 1 hit, so it's easy enough to do. It's like either they're level 145 or they're level 8. There is no middle ground. I think there's like one of each kind of rune here. I'm just going to pick all of them up and then I'll warp out of here. Okay, so everybody on the second floor is level 8. So that was very easy. Now I have to do all the hard ones. I think there's still a couple more level 8s downstairs. I probably should have just done all of the level 8s. But I'm kind of just warping out of here whenever I get too low on prayer. Oh, there's another level? That shows how much I've explored this place. What is even the point of coming up here? There's like cannons and stuff? I don't know if this lets you like see players running around for relative safety or something. I don't think there's like a clue step up here or anything. Huh. Interesting. Any other level 8s that I've left behind? That might be the last one. Okay. And now I just got to do the hard ones. Oh, disregard. There are 2 more level 8s in the central courtyard, so I'll go get them in a second. Okay, this agrees with the chunk picker. So 15 level 8s, and I've killed 3 level 145s. It's taken me a lot of trips here. I'm just going to go ahead and head back to Ferox Enclave. Usually prayer flicking is not a big problem, but it's pretty nasty when it's multi-combat and you're getting swarmed constantly. So I can get away with it if I'm able to like isolate one of them like this or lock them behind doors, which I've been trying to do so I don't have to keep like warping back to recover prayer. Okay, I got my last guy here. Not any good loot. I am definitely glad that I will be 100%ing this chunk, so I will not be killing these guys in the future unless I somehow happen to unlock Slayer and Crystalia gives me a task for them. But I feel like Crystalia is a pretty dangerous Slayer master for me to mess around with. Maybe once I can Turiel skip. Alright, that's done. I don't want those body runes as I've already picked them up. I just need to get out of here. I'm going to go kill the skeletons and then mine the coal. And then we'll be done with this chunk and it'll be time to do the rest of the cycle. Right, skeletons are down here by the coal mine, so just going to beat them up here. Shouldn't take long. Oh, well, unfortunately other people have attacked them, so I don't know why. Like, why these skeletons of all the skeletons in the game? Okay, that skeleton actually counted. Alright, this is the last skeleton, and then we'll go mine. Okay, mining this might be a little messy just because I've got both the Varrock armor and these gloves, so I'm probably gonna have to do several trips. My inventory is likely gonna fill up a few times, but I just have these coal left. We'll mark the chunk complete once these are all done. Alright, mining all this coal, although it now occurs to me, is any of this coal not accessible? I think it is all accessible, actually. Okay. It's not like trees where they sometimes just place things where it's impossible to get to it. Oh my god, I've had 5, 6 mining gloves procs on this single rock here. I marked this one early, planning to move over, and there it goes. Okay. Finally depleted. These gloves are ridiculous. Like, I mean, I got them on my main account, but I never was actually mining low-level ores like this where it makes a huge difference. Alright, this is the last of the coal. Victory achieved. This chunk is complete. I have done everything there is to do. Killed all the skeletons, all the Dark Warriors. Lots more coal. I think I got even more than 66. I'll bank these and confirm exactly how much extra coal I have. But as you can see there, I got 32 procs from the mining gloves, 8 procs from the Varrock plate body, and 4 procs from the celestial ring. Yeah, I got a total of 78 coal. So just kind of comparing that to the log here, 78 minus 8 from the plate body, minus 4 from the celestial ring, minus 32 from the extra procs is 34. So I did that correctly. But it's wild. Like, you almost double the amount of ore you get if those gloves apply to it in this game mode, obviously. It wouldn't make that big of a difference. It would make it slightly more AFK for a normal account. Pretty huge for me, though. Hey, folks, let's talk about the state of the chunk map here. It's taken us a very long time to get here. We're still a little bit short of 1/5 of the game map unlocked. Let's look first at 100% completed chunks. These are chunks in which I've done everything there is to do at least once in a past cycle. This includes the new chunk we just rolled, the Dark Warriors Fortress. Honestly, I think this is pretty impressive. I haven't really talked about the percentages here, but the fact that we're able to do like 71% of all of the tasks and all of the chunks we've unlocked so far with this bizarre, brutally slow restriction, I'm pretty proud of it. So the reason we care about tracking 100% completed chunks is that they confer some benefits. I get to skip all of the content in these 100% completed chunks, which is something I generally don't do, unless if it's like really, really useless content, like enemies that don't drop anything, or regular trees, that sort of a thing. I tend to do all of the content, even in my 100% completed chunks. And that's a strategy I'm going to change up for next episode. More about that after the chunk roll at the end of this episode. Also, in 100% completed chunks, there's a handful of skills that have additional benefits. I can chop every tree to depletion, fish every fishing spot until it moves, interact with every thieving object 28 times each, mine all shooting stars to depletion, and run agility courses until a Mark of Grace spawns. So it won't reflect in this episode, but the chunk we just rolled, the Dark Warriors Fortress, does have a shooting star in it, so next cycle we will be able to increase that from 1 to 2 shooting stars in the wilderness there. Also, later in this episode, I'm going to talk about a mistake I made with the Falador agility course and what my plan is to solve it going forward. Also, in 100% completed chunks, we can buy out all of the shop stocks. These are the stocks that I'm mostly going to be buying out. After 100% completed chunks, we have quest blocked chunks. Quests only block completion in chunks if it physically blocks content that you can't get to otherwise. So like, I can't get to the Barbarian Agility course until I do Alfred Grimhand's Bar Crawl, and I can't fight Zogres until I'm able to start Zogre Flesh Eaters. After quest block chunks, we have skill blocked chunks. I can't complete these because my skill levels aren't high enough. To be perfectly frank, these chunks are essentially going to be permanently blocked. I don't know that I'll ever get my agility level high enough to hit any of these, or my construction level. The one exception up there is the Rag and Bone Man 2 chunk, Silvaria. That's blocked by needing a Slayer level of 40, which I'm almost certainly going to get from lamps, now that the lamp rate has massively increased in Old School. Speaking of Slayer, I'm still blocked on Slayer training because I have a Desert Lizard task that I can't do, and I'm unable to re-roll it because it is a Turiel task, so I'd have to roll one of these 3 red chunks to be able to do that task. After skill-blocked chunks, it's the same old item-blocked chunks. I need these tools to be able to do tasks in those chunks. And finally, chunk-blocked chunks. I can't complete these chunks because there's content that's accessible from an adjacent chunk that I have to roll first. And that's everything for the chunk overview. Now I'm going to keep doing these, but I do finally have an objective for this account. You may have noticed me mention it in the intro there. Early on in the series, I said that I had no idea what the objective for this account was going to be because it was very difficult to theory craft for. It's really hard to tell when you're starting an account like this exactly how long things will take. I projected 10,000 hours as kind of a, well, if nothing else, I can unlock every chunk in the game, kind of a soft goal. But I've mentioned in the past that the math might turn out that that's not reasonable as an objective. At least not if my objective is to share this content with you on a regular cadence on YouTube. If I was just working on an account like this for the next 25 years of my life off and on, yeah, that's probably reasonable. But at the current cadence I'm uploading videos to y'all, this would take about 22 years for me to finish. And that's assuming that cycles don't end up taking longer, and we know that they trend towards longer by default. That's just how the account works, right? So I'll talk about this in more detail at the end of the episode, but I think the real objective for this account is going to be getting the Fire Cape. I think that's really, really difficult to do on an account like this, but I also think that someone else trying to recreate my rule set could do it, and maybe do it on a very different track than I took. So right, we'll talk about that at the end of the episode. Let's get back to the playthrough here. I'm going to try not to announce every star this cycle, but I did want to mention that they did nerf stars again since last episode. So last episode, I briefly got to enjoy 90-minute stars. Now they cap out closer to 63 minutes or so. But on the plus side, they only roll in an extremely tight range of tiers. So the chance of seeing a T8 or a T9 star is higher. And I'm way likely to get more XP from the higher tiers than the way it used to work. So anyway, that's good. I'm going to sit here and mine this one in Varrock East Bank, and then I'll just keep working on stars. Yeah, so on the bummer side of things, these only last 60 minutes instead of 90 minutes, but on the positive side, at least from my scheduling perspective, they've staggered them so that they actually are spawning pretty much constantly. There's not this weird, awkward 30-minute period where there are no stars, so I'm able to run to this next one basically immediately. I'll go ahead and mark it complete here, and I'll just report on... I'm going to get a mining level up probably before this. Well, I'm 100% certain to get a mining level up before I finish all the stars. Oh, he's got a genie over here. It was AFK, but I managed to get back and click on it at just the right second and then quickly boot up OBS. This is my first random of the cycle. I almost put it on Herblore. Slayer, please. Thank you. I only got 45 minutes of AFK there. The nerfs are really significant, it turns out. It's kind of unfortunate, actually. I'm glad that I'm already 90 plus mining. I've already passed all the levels that would actually matter for the account, but the likelihood that I'm going to actually get to 99 anytime soon has dropped significantly since they've nerfed shooting stars. At least it's easier to schedule. Easy casket here, happens pretty infrequently, and it's nothing useful. We'll be getting a mining level here any moment. There it is, mining 94, 5 levels to go. Another easy clue scroll here from shooting stars that I should be able to finish here. Remember if these goes up, oh, they do go up to 4 steps. I can do that though, I think. Okay, casket. What we get? Nothing. Working through shooting stars. I gotta go do my one in the wilderness. This one did get called out on the Star Miners website, which means people are probably gonna show up to try to murder me, but I have 0 risk other than this ring of dueling, so should be fine. It's amusing that there's nobody here. Of course not. Probably just because of the risk associated with coming here. I might need to get my ult to tank these skeletons if enough people don't show up. We'll see. Okay, I think I managed to run out the clock on NPC aggression. I ended up just flicking protect melee for 10 minutes, which is kind of contrary to the whole point of shooting stars, but whatever. Kind of cool that I technically got the star discovery bonus for this. Huh. I didn't realize they added that. It's probably the only star I ever get that on. I made it all the way through the star without getting harassed. It might have just been the time of day that I was doing it, but I'll take it. Not going to complain. I ended up getting a lot of Stardust from that. 1200 from the bonus primarily. Yeah, get out of here. I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 more stars to do for the cycle. Oh, I'm in so much pain. I just came out here for my last star. I was just going to log out. I got to this point, clicked log out right as Count Check spawned. I didn't click on him. It's all right. There's so many opportunities for lamps now, but it still sucks. I got a couple things I probably want to do early. I need to talk to you about a mistake I made with agility. Maybe we'll do that when I come back from the star on how I'm going to make up for it in this episode. Okay, folks, I'm over here at the Falador agility course, and I have to talk about an error that I made last episode. Joey TJE50 on YouTube caught this in the comments. Thank you very much, Joey, for pointing this out. I take the integrity of this account very seriously, and it's something that I want to fix going forward. So what happened was I got a Mark of Grace on the second lap of the course last cycle, and then the very next clip shows that I ran 2 more laps after getting the Mark of Grace. Now, little mistakes like this happen on this account all the time. It's 60 hours per cycle. It's pretty grueling, and RuneScape is not designed for you to click something once and then leave, right? It's designed to kind of put you in a mode of autopilot where you're like, okay, I'm just running agility laps now. I'm just killing enemies now. So every cycle, as you've seen me go through in the past, I make trivial errors. Like I accidentally mined 11 extra pay dirt just on autopilot in the Motherlode mine, right? I accidentally killed an extra baby blue dragon last cycle because I was on auto retaliate and wasn't paying attention. But I didn't notice that I had ran these extra Falador agility laps and wouldn't have noticed it if Joey hadn't pointed it out on YouTube. So previously, whenever something like this would happen with agility, my assumption was that this would just work itself out in the wash in between cycles, that if I ran, say, 1 extra lap on autopilot, no big deal, right? It would just count towards the Mark of Grace that would spawn in the next episode. But it turns out that's not how Mark of Grace spawns work. I thought Mark of Grace spawn limits were based on laps completed, but in addition to a lap component, it's primarily just a physical time component, right? So if you run an agility course, log off the game for a day and log back in the next day, you can get a Mark of Grace again on the very next lap. So it's time, not laps accrued. So this is a mistake, and it's a mistake that's uniquely difficult for me to make up for because I can't just, skip agility laps on subsequent cycles. Those laps that I did that were extra, there's no real way to make up for them directly. So I talked about this in the YouTube comments. I suggested 3 different ways to handle it. FF Fanatic chipped in with a 4th solution that I think everybody thought was a good way to deal with the problem. That solution is to simply run any agility course where I accidentally overran laps. On the following cycle, run that course once without running it until a Mark of Grace spawns, and then say that, okay, that essentially makes up for the extra XP. It's really not that much extra XP in the full swing of things, but like I said, I take the integrity of this account super seriously. That's why I spend so much time in every episode going over the bank delta and the loot tracker and the loot logger and everything, so that you know that everything is above board. So if anyone else ever catches something like this, please call it out in the comments. Don't feel like you're spoiling anyone's parade. We will find a way to fix it. We just might have to be a little bit creative with the solution. So the long story short is I'm going to go ahead and run this lap. I'm just going to do it once, and we're going to skip the Mark of Grace for this cycle, and I'll mark this completed as an error tracking item. Yeah, I don't know how many laps this means I'm going to be skipping this cycle, because you can't tell going into it, am I going to run this? Is it going to take me 10 laps to get the Mark of Grace? Is it going to take me 2 laps? But given all things being equal, this is probably the best way to solve it, is to just treat it as though it's a chunk that's not 100% complete, and so I can't run it till the Mark of Grace spawns for 1 cycle. All right, and this concludes the 1 lap. There it is. Lap count 18, not touching it again. We'll consider that error resolved, and I'll keep going through the agility list for everything else. We'll mark Falador complete here. Okay, we've got the Mark of Grace on the Varrock course, spawned on lap, this is 54. So I will not click it again. I'm really paranoid about this now. I'm not going to report on every single agility lap in every episode from now on, but after the mistake last time, I want to make sure that it's completely above board. Looks like that's 10. Is this 11 laps once I drop here? Which is pretty good. Yeah. We did lap 44 and ended on lap 54, so I guess a total of 10. It might include the lap from Falador earlier. All right, next up, we'll head to Alcarid and Draenor. Alcarid course, it spawned on lap 8. Kind of unfortunate, actually. I've been able to get dozens of laps here before. Hopefully I'll have better time on the Draenor course. We'll see. And I've been having bad luck. Well, I guess good luck, but for my account, bad luck. This is the 11th lap So yeah, I'm not getting quite as many laps as I'd like for agility, but you know, what are you gonna do? The sooner I get those done, the more Guardians of the Rift I can do. I guess I have to skip Guardians of the Rift this cycle anyway because of getting too much XP from it last cycle. A couple more agility levels. We'll see what I end up getting in terms of tickets from the Brimhaven course, because if I end up having enough tickets banked that I could just cash in for 54, I'll do that as soon as I can. That's the end of agility. Thank you for joining me on this error correction journey. Let's get back to the rest of the cycle here. All right, I'm looking to get into other skills here. I'm going to start working on fishing, so we'll start with fishing trawler. Maybe I'll get lucky and get a piece here. Are we going to get a piece here? I've been pretty lucky on pieces, so I'm not super stressed out about getting them. I did not get one. That's. Guess I'll go do Temporos real quick. Okay, heading off to Temporos here. I had a slightly messy first phase where I just didn't catch enough fish on the double spots, but I think we should be good here. Yeah, we're gonna be fine. I'll get all 10 permits. Might have to get one more round of hits here from the cannons. Really like that you can load both cannons at the end to make sure you get a final round. This would be way more stressful if that wasn't possible. I don't know if they added that deliberately, but it really helps. There we go. No problem. Okay, as usual, let's see if we get anything. Logger. Nothing. That's okay. I feel like, honestly, the fish barrel is probably the most impactful thing I could possibly get from that. I mean, the Tome of Water would be cool, but it's just huge for this account to have the fish barrel. Let's go ahead and do some actual fishing then. I got a Forester random event while I was working on my harpoon fishing here. Should be a lamp, I believe. Yep. Slayer, please. I use these marked tiles here to try to track when one moves. I try to wait until the instant it moves to get as many things as I can out of it. I'm over here at the Motherlode mine. Let's see if this is the cycle for... Ooh, not a good first sack pull. 1 golden nugget, so it might be another cycle. All right, this is my second sack. I'd have to get like 4 of them. Ooh, no, that's really a bummer. It's a whole extra cycle I have to wait. I've gotten really unlucky on these lately. Let's see, I'm up to 97, so I will almost certainly get it next cycle, I think. All right, this is my last load of pay dirt because I have to make up for the mistake I made last cycle of over mining by 11, so unless if I get insanely lucky and pull through... Oh my god, I did get really lucky, but not quite lucky enough. That is 99 gold nuggets. Ugh. Yeah, because I think the cycle that I get 100, I'll get to mine the upper level one, tapping each of them once each, and then only that after that cycle I'll be able to mine everything here to depletion. That's a super bummer. Oh well. Oh hey, I got Count Check here, and I didn't accidentally hop the moment he spawned this time. Hey, just popping in real quick to update on the status of the cycle here. I've done all of my mining tasks, including soil. I'm starting to think that this cycle is starting to take me so long in terms of like number of days to complete with all of my other responsibilities. I might need to try doing a completely stripped down, only the mandatory stuff cycle. Because like I technically don't have to do soil because I've completed those chunks. I just do it because it's, you know, extra pieces and parts for Giant's Foundry. I'm going to start thinking about how much can I strip this down to make this as doable as possible. Part of the argument is I want to get as much XP as I can in each cycle to unlock new content, but it's either that or declare the game mode impossible, that it takes too much time. So yeah, I finished all the mining tasks. I did the regular log. I'm still trying to delay wood cutting to see if that forestry update I'm hoping for lands one of these days. I'm running out of time for the cycle, so I might just have to go ahead and finish up wood cutting. I'm almost done with fishing, so I'm going to do that now. The trout and pike, at least. Knocking out all of Runecraft really quick. This doesn't take me too much time now that I have access to the Abyss. I just go to each altar once. I'm going to skip Guardians of the Rift this cycle, though, because of getting too much XP from trying to practice soloing it last cycle. Should about make up the difference, I think. All right, coming out of Runecraft, working on thieving. I always want to start with the Rogue's Den to see if I get lucky. I have not been lucky on pieces, so hopefully I'll get a outfit piece here. All right, please, please game, give me an outfit piece. I'm begging you. I got really lucky with that first one. Crate of equipment. Okay, I think I got it. Nice. In terms of what I should take from this crate, I think I honestly shouldn't have taken the chest piece to start with. I think the gloves or the boots actually have some stats on them that I could start equipping when I'm doing like combat content. I'm gonna double check that really quick. Yeah, so the gloves obviously are outclassed by the combat bracelet, but the boots have stats on them, and I currently don't really have, well, do I, because of the runner boots? I guess it doesn't really matter, does it? Because I have the runner boots and I have the combat bracelet. Okay, I'll just get another piece then. I guess I'll do the trousers since they stand out the most. There we go, new item, rogue trousers. Fantastic. All right, well then I'm gonna go ahead and start working on thieving for the cycle. Let's go. All right, just updating my progress here. I'm making good headway through the cycle. Finished most of my fishing and thieving tasks. Today is Wednesday. I've been hoping that the forestry update was gonna come out. That makes forestry way better for me, but it still isn't out as of January 17th, 2024. So I think I can't wait any longer. I have to go ahead and just get my wood cutting done. So I'm going to start working on wood cutting now. Okay, I'm here working on wood cutting. I've had a really, really unlucky cycle for wood cutting. I'm almost done with it here. I just have to do the magic logs over at the Mage Training Arena and this last oak tree. But I have only had 3 forestry events spawn for all of that. And I've gotten 4 in prior cycles, so I'm really going to be bummed if next Wednesday, so today is Thursday, January 18th. If next Wednesday they put out the forestry fixes, I'll be a little sad. But yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty slow in terms of how often I see them. Hopefully I'll get them next time. On the plus side, though, now that this is done, I should have enough banked logs. If I look at my fletching XP calculator here, I gotta go to a bank. Hold on. Okay, yes, I do in fact finally have enough logs in the bank to get to 80 fletching, which would let me finally make a magic shortbow, which would be massive for this account. I can actually start training ranged. I can do the fight caves once I get a few more prayer potions. This is going to take a ton of time to process all of this. It's like 11,000 oak logs, but I'm going to get started. I'm going to try to make that happen this cycle. So I'm going to take a break from everything else. I'm going to go stand by a bank where random events can spawn. I think that they improved the number of banks where random events can spawn, which is nice, but I'll definitely just pick one that I know is safe, and I'll report in when I get to 79 and then 80. All right, I know this is a safe bank, so I'm going to start here. We are going to go through... I guess I'll start with the maples and work my way down to the oaks. See you in many, many, many hours. I'm working through this. I forgot how slow this is. I might dip into my yew logs just to save myself a little bit of because the oak longbows are going to take forever. That's like 25 XP per log. This is like 3 times as much. That'll save me a decent number. Well, not that many of the oaks. It's going to save me like 1,500 of the oaks. Or something. So yeah, I'll probably end up making these into yew longbows. That's fine. Okay, I've been at this for a long time. I'm just now finishing all of my yew, maple, and willows. Didn't even get to 79 from that. So I'm going to finish getting to 79 and get all of 80 just from oaks. Okay, here comes 79 fletching. There it is. Beautiful level up. Now I just need 187k XP. Okay, this will take a while. Another count check random event you can see there. We're getting pretty close on a Slayer level. It's like 3 more lamps. Oh, 2 more lamps. Right on. Okay, y'all, I've been at this for a while. Let's finish it out here. This is the product of 1,654 hours of time. I'm still holding down the space bar. Fletching level 80. I can now make magic short bows. This is amazing. I had to fletch every log I've ever obtained from every tree I've ever had to chop from many, 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 many hours of doing Bonfire Man, and I can finally make a magic short bow. I'm gonna do that now. I have a small handful of bowstrings I've been saving for this exact purpose. So let's use a knife on the magic logs to make a short bow, and then let's string it. I don't even think I can use this, right? Is my range level not high enough? Oh, I guess I can. Okay. Look at that. Amazing. I'm gonna go ahead and imbue it. I can get a MSBI scroll from Last Man Standing, so I'll just teleport there really quick and do that. Here it is, a magic shortbow scroll purchased. Let's go ahead and use that here. Nice. Magic shortbow eye. Oh, that's cool. I like that it changes what it looks like. Really exciting stuff, folks. I think I'm actually going to immediately switch to training range. I know I've been talking about trying to get my attack level up for pest control, but I'll explain why later. Once I get to the PVM portion of this cycle, I am going to use this thing right away, probably with all the adamant arrows that I've been banking for hours and hours and hours. I have 24,000 adamant arrows. It's probably enough that I could just shoot them and not bother picking them up, because I still have plenty of stored points here to buy more if I need them. But I want to get my range level up to like 75 before I attempt the fight caves. So I actually got a forestry event here. It's pretty exciting. This is my 4th one for the cycle. I'll have gotten 4 every cycle so far, which is kind of wild. It spawned from this magic tree that I was trying to chop down. Working through my farming here. I'm about to get a farming level up here. Really need to get the level where I can boost to make snape grass, which is 58. Kind of the big thing that I'm working toward here. There it is. Farming 56. Can grow Quarm, which I might have some of those banked. Alright, while I'm in Falador here, I have a content plan. I want to do the fight caves pretty soon, so I want to get access to black d'hide, and that's going to require me to get my crafting level up from 80. So I'm going to turn in all of my banked Stardust for more gems and see how close that gets me. I get significantly less Stardust every cycle now, thanks to the shooting star nerfs. All right, finished buying all these gems. Here's the final total here. I'll see what that actually does to my banked XP calculator. So if I look at crafting, currently have enough bank to get to 81. Refresh. That's enough to get to 84. That's perfect. That's exactly what I need to make my black d'hide. I don't think I want to do that right now, though. Having black d'hide would be nice if I'm going to start training ranged. Do I have time this cycle to cut like 20,000 gems? I'm going to have to think about this one. Right, so I came here to start crafting and then realized, right, I can't even equip black d'hide until level 70 range, so I don't need to do it right away, but I should go ahead and make a blue d'hide set because I've gotten enough blue dragon hide, yeah, from the Taverley dungeon to make a full set. I actually also have enough black dragon hide once I get to 84, but I may as well, you know, get to 70 first so I can actually equip it. Okay, making blue dragon hide. Let's go. So we'll start with this guy. Just make the one, please. And some pants. And a pair of ambraces. Alright, we'll gear up, and I'm going to start doing the PVM part of the cycle. I still have a couple of skilling things left to do, like I still have to go to Puro, but I'd like to try out this magic shortbow that took me so long to get. Gaze upon my radiance and despair. I look amazing. So I usually start the PVM part of the cycle by going to the wilderness, but I don't want to figure out how I want to manage my wilderness risk at the moment. It's also like a Saturday morning, so there's probably a bunch of people there. I do need to untag all these guards. This is from pickpocketing them. I'm going to try these guards and see how it goes. I think I should have enough range accuracy that even though they're kind of resistant to range, it shouldn't really matter. Yeah, it looks like this is fine. Literally haven't used range in so long. Like, it's probably been hundreds and hundreds of hours. At least since I got the Colossal Blade, I believe. I've had no real cause to use it, but now that I have this MSBI, it's pretty good. My max hit is an 11, which is a considerable downgrade from the Colossal Blade, but I also attack significantly faster, so kind of hard to say. I guess I need to make the decision about whether I'm going to bother picking up my arrows. Like, theoretically, I can get as many arrows as I want if I'm willing to just burn all of my LMS points on that and nothing else. It might be worth the reduced attention, honestly, to just leave them on the ground since they're so trivial for me to get. It's the rune arrows that I'm going to have to save, and those are what I'm probably going to bring into the fight caves and just use adamant arrows for training. I think my compromise is going to be this. The most annoying thing about picking up arrows is having to pick up the arrows as they like trail towards you. Like picking up that arrow is going to be annoying, but I don't mind picking them up when it's part of the loot pile that I'm already clicking on. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick up the arrows that are in the loot pile after the enemy dies, but any of the trailing arrows I'm just going to leave on the ground. And I don't think that's going to result in me losing that much or spending that many LMS points. We'll see. I'll do it for this cycle and see how many arrows I end up losing to attrition that way. Might seem really silly because I imagine the reason most people care about the magic shortbow is because of the special attack, but I forgot that this has a special attack. I haven't used special attacks in this game in an extremely long time, maybe something like 1600 hours. But yeah, it's pretty good. Like, hits twice, rolls a lot of damage. It's only 50 special attack energy, so I can do it twice. I feel like I should just always do it so that this is always charging. Still working through PVM over here, over in Feldup Hills. I'm gonna murder this poor lonely ogre who can't escape his spawn point. Farewell, sir. Something that is really nice about doing this with range, I still kill this special zombie every cycle, is I can actually safe spot things again. I associate a lot of like traditional combat training with safe spotting, and that you don't really do melee until you have so many prayer potions that you can just camp protect melee. That's not the case with Bonfire Man. With Bonfire Man, I'm flicking protect melee all the time if I absolutely need to. So it's kind of nice to just sit here and murder this guy without having to think about it terribly much. Hey, over here working through PVM, I'm about to get a ranged level. There we go, 66 ranged. Oh god, I was on mute. I don't know how long I've been on mute for. I got a maze random though. Though I got chaos runes and steel arrows. I think my cat muted me. Still working through PVM here, heading to the Taverley Dungeon, which is by far the longest single section of PVM for me right now. I haven't done it with the ability to safe spot things, so some of these, especially like the black demons and the blue dragons and the black dragons in particular, might end up being way easier with the shortbow, so hopefully I have enough accuracy to fight them effectively. We'll see. When I said I think I'm only going to get one range level per cycle, I underestimated how much PVM there is in a cycle. I'm about to get a second one here. There it is. 67 range. 3 to go. Yeah, the blue dragons are definitely way easier with ranged. It's nice to not have to constantly flick protect prayers against them. So accuracy is definitely a problem against the black dragons here. I'm hitting like maybe 10% of the time. I'll probably start flicking rigor, but this is, or eagle eye, but this is still wildly better than trying to do this with a colossal blade. I'd often come here with a full inventory of food and still need to warp out before killing even one of the dragons because they hit like truck. Hellhounds are also way easier. I have to finish up the hellhounds, and the black demons are going to take the longest time because they have so much health and their defense is so high, but should be a little bit more chill than I'm used to, at least. Okay, this may be ill-advised, but I'm going to try to do my wilderness activities here with ranged. I am risking my glory, my blue d'hide set, and I'm only bringing 350 adamant arrows with me so I don't lose all of them if I die. If this goes badly, I'll just do it with melee, but I'm trying to get as much XP on range as I possibly can. All right, running back from Elder Chaos Druids. I did have a player show up once, but my little player alarm helped that player alarm, it's really obnoxious, helped me to escape successfully. And doing it with range was fine, so I guess the only problem is I'm risking slightly more here, but I should be able to replace my glory and my blue d'hide if I were to get killed for some reason. I'm going to do the rest of my wilderness stuff here. I think the Elder Chaos Druids are by far the most dangerous thing. But everything else, like the green dragons, the wilderness zombies, and the mammoths aren't that big of a deal. Hello, Mr. Genie. You are an important genie. You are an important genie because you are my Slayer level. Let me skip Sylvaria on future cycles. Here we are. Slayer 40. Basilisks and Terror Dogs, and importantly, I qualify for Rag and Bone Man 2. Was the last thing I needed to skip that chunk. Doesn't save me much time. I get to stop cutting like 10 trees, and there's like 13 bats that I'm not gonna have to kill anymore. I'm probably still gonna get the attack that guy, the limestone that's in that chunk every cycle. Okay, coming close to wrapping up the public wilderness stuff. I still have a couple things to do in the Edgeville wilderness section, but it's been fine. I'll just do this with range going forward. It is wild how close I am to another range level. I've gone from 65 to 68. Basically no problem. So I think I really underestimated how much health the back half of my PVM has collectively. Like, it seems like a small count of enemies killed, but all of them have so much health that it converts to a lot of XP.
So yeah, I will get 68. That means I might get 70 next cycle. It might not be as many cycles away until I get to 70. That would trigger my need to start grinding out crafting to make my black d'hide set. I'm gonna get another range level here in a second. Might be this guy behind him. Here we go, range 68. 2 more to go. Close to a hit points level as well. Headed off to fight the Calphite Queen. Need to fight her with melee. Cannot use ranged because of the way that flinching her works. I'll still try to range everything else if I can. You might notice that news update there in the corner. Scurrius just released. It's a new boss in Varrock. Is in my chunk, so I should be able to attempt it. I will probably give it a try before the cycle's over. Maybe I'll do it after everything else in PVM is done. Okay, got the pull set up. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, hit phase 2, 32 minutes, so should have plenty of time here. We'll see. Is that it? All right, we got it. Let's see what we got. Potato cactuses and super combat potions. Okay. Not super helpful. Okay, my combat tasks for the cycle are done, although I'm going to go try this new boss that just launched today. Haven't looked into it at all. I'm going to do it with melee, I think, because I can't use prayer potions, which is part of the problem. I don't know if it's balanced to be beatable with a single, set of 54 prayer points, but who cares? Let's give it a shot. Okay, I am geared up in my melee set. I'm just trying to conserve run energy in case running in the fight matters at all. I have done no research. I have no idea what this is going to look like at all. I have a full inventory of lobsters and a defense potion and a super attack, because why not? I'm just going to record my entire first attempt. I'll probably put a time code in the description if you wanted to skip this. Kind of like the big rat they have walking towards the entrance here to kind of lead you to it. That's cool. I know there's a multiplayer fight, but I'm obviously going to try to do it solo here. It seems more fun. Private. Yeah, let's do it. I know he's supposed to be about prayer switching. Oh, I don't want that. What the fuck? I said private. Oh, rats. Just to keep you from leaving constantly, I guess. Okay, here we go. So he starts with a big attack from the sky. Seems pretty straightforward. He does melee. Don't stand in the bad, it looks like. It's pretty normal. I'm not going to do anything other than pray protection prayers. I'm not going to use like attack prayers or anything. I wonder if he only changes... I really like his style. He looks really cool. So eat some cheese. Okay. Oh. Now he's doing what I assume are ranged attacks. That was magic. That's really cool. I like the rat on his back doing the attack. That's very neat. Now we're back on melee, I take it. I need to turn auto retaliate on, I think. Or just be more careful. Now we have ranged occasionally. Yeah, it seems pretty well conveyed when he does that. He gets a bunch of ads, which I don't know if they're even worth fighting. It might not be. They're just regular giant rats, okay.
Warning, level up soon.
I'm gonna get a hit points level in this fight. I am gonna run out of prayer before getting a kill here, so hopefully I can just eat through the rest of the fight. I think I have some time to prayer swap there. Maybe I can try to flick prayers. Here's the hit points level. Yeah, he's a pretty cool fight. The Colossal Blade seems pretty decent on him too, which is cool. Looks like flicking is fine. Kind of just figure that out. Looks like you take 0 if you protect, which is cool. attacks. I don't know if the ads are something I actively have to worry about. They're very difficult for me to kill. This guy does not need to be adjacent to those. I like that there's custom sound effects for the different attack styles the computer does. Yeah, I'm just gonna ignore the ads. I don't think they're worth fighting. They don't seem like they're like super strong or anything. Should be able to get a kill here blind, which is very exciting. Let that prayer sit longer though. Come on. One more hit, we should have him. Hey, first try. Cool fight though. That's a great bit of content. Adamant plate body is not a very exciting drop, but you know, what are you gonna do? I only get to kill him once per cycle. I think that if I ever get the spine that he drops, I want to use it to make the powered staff, because having a powered staff at this low of a level would be pretty useful in the future. Yeah, I enjoyed that fight. That was pretty cool. It was well designed. I get it. No notes. I think that's perfect for this kind of mid-level Iron Man. Adding a task for him to my combat task list. All right, I still have a couple things I need to do. I still have to do the Brimhaven Agility Arena. There's a couple agility shortcuts I have to check out. I need to go pan the panning site. I have to train construction and do all my shopscaping and other tasks. So I'm gonna get working on that. I also haven't done Puro yet. I'm probably gonna get a hunter. Well, I'm definitely gonna get a hunter level in there from that. And I want to try to do all my farming, so I'm probably going to start with the farm run here. Over here doing find cleaning, had a bit of a debate in Discord about Scurrius, whether he's good or not. I think he's a great boss. I think that the fact that he heals is smart because it makes sure that you're keeping pressure on the boss while balancing prayer switching. That's really, really crucial for all of the late game content in OSRS. You know, Jad, the Alchemical Hydra, and so on, right? You can't just play defensively. You have to be damaging and like clicking back on the boss whenever you dodge off an attack or something. And the healing is sort of a nice way to punish you for not keeping that pressure up in a way that doesn't kill you. Like it will kill you in something like the Jad fight if you aren't able to click onto the minions, right? I wasn't really thinking of what's the deal with the giant rats. I looked at the wiki. Apparently they can hit through prayer and they're like super accurate. But it does seem like the best thing to do about them is to just trap them behind the boss, which is good for teaching you because you're going to need that to trap the healers when you fight Jad later. Overall, A+. I have no notes for it. Really, really cool fight. Oh, would you look at that? Hunter 35. That is not a helpful level. I just planted a white berry for the first time. I don't have the bittercap mushrooms to protect it, so I'm just going to pray that it doesn't die, I guess. That'll be my last bush patch. I'm going to go do hops. I've got some hammerstones to plant. Getting close to being done with farming. Just got my last agility ticket here. Did not get a level up, but I might get one next cycle, which will be nice. I need to get that 54 level up to be able to do more in Guardians of the Rift. Opening my Rune Doku casket here, the big one. All right, I'll take 24 law runes. It's pretty good. This is all I'm down to do here on the right side. I got to do Barbarian Assault. I got to do Soul Wars, Last Man Standing, Pest Control, and Castle Wars. I've marked Giant's Foundry complete. I haven't actually done it here. Just a reminder that I could do it. I've got plenty of like ore and coal and stuff, but I'm just gonna continue to let it build. I don't really need the money or any of the levels really from smithing it at the moment. So the time save is worth me holding off on doing that for now. Oh man, I got like 19 white berries from this one bush. I have to clear it now because of my rules, but that's a lot. It's pretty good. All right, heading for my AFK Castle Wars. Over here trying to do the Novice Pest Control Lander, and it is not going good. This is our second run. I don't want to be getting too much XP from this, right? I don't know if we just have a really bad group or something. I'm gonna do this with melee instead of ranged. I can probably contribute better with melee. Okay, I took on protecting the Void Knight, and I think we're going to be okay here. So it was only 3 games to finally get a win here. Not that much XP. All right. Done with Void Knight stuff now. Let's go do our other tasks. We've got LMS, Soul Wars, and Barbarian Assault. I kind of want to do Barbarian Assault last because it's such a drain. So I guess I'll go do Soul Wars. Continuing my terrible luck streak. With Soul Wars, 24 Zeal on my first run here. I kind of regret the way that I handle Zeal here. Somebody made a YouTube comment about this recently on the Bonfire Man series. And I think that really, if I were to start, I'm going to have a lot of thoughts on what would I do differently if I started Bonfire Man over. That's going to be a feature at the end of this series that I'm going to make recommendations if anyone wants to try this account. I now have like close to 1,700 hours of experience with it, and I can advise how to start it from the beginning in a way that's easy to explain, that doesn't have a ton of exceptions, that doesn't require you to change the rules ever, right? But I guess what I would have done with Soul Wars instead would be to say you can only redeem 2 Spoils of War, or you can only spend 60 Zeal per cycle, right? So that would make me technically unlimited on the number of times I could run it. Still only run it until you get about 60 and then buy 2 spoils, and that would kind of bring it in line with my ruling for Barbarian Assault. I guess the way I'm doing it right now, it's still on average. I guess I'm probably getting a little bit more on average than I would if I was only ever allowed to literally buy 2 per cycle, because I get at least 2 per cycle right now. Sometimes I get 3. But anyway, just thoughts on Soul Wars. 15 Zeal, man, it's... You know, I've pointed this out before. It's embarrassing to say, why do I always get drafted into the losing team? It's like, okay, it sounds like there's a common denominator there, bud. You're the one that's always in the losing team. But Soul Wars is too big for a single player, especially a chunk-locked account like mine that's not really capable of doing a lot of damage or really engaging in the PvP. Like, I can't make our team win, so it's wild how badly we lose. 15 Zeal again, so that's 3 games and I still don't have 60 points. So this next game, I need to get 6 or more, so I don't think it's possible for me to get less than 6, so I will be done after game 4. That sucks, though. Very likely to get an attack level up here. I'm very close. Look at my XP here. Got like 74 XP to go. I'll get the level up from one of these ghosts, I guess. It's probably the way to do it. Here we go. Attack 78. Oh, combat 94. Go figure I get the good run on the 4th run when I'm going to get excess points, but I guess what are you going to do? Probably, I don't know if I'll get 60 points this run. We actually have to win, which might not happen, but we got the win there. 50 Zeal, okay. Yeah, so 50 plus 30 plus 24. 104. Okay, I've got 3 Spoils of War here. Still hoping for coal. That is not coal. That is also not coal. That is also not coal. Not great. I'm nearing the end of the cycle. I only have Barbarian Assault and Last Man Standing left to do. Got a couple throwaway things like the Basalt Steps outside Barbarian Assault. And I think I need to plant Guam. I'm going to show you the supplies used tracker, which should be correct, although it's weird that it says I used coal as food. Are you high supplies tracker? You notice a bunch of my plugins are disabled. They made an update recently on RuneLite that required plugins to comply with Jagex accounts, and a whole bunch of plugins that haven't been maintained in a while got deleted. Not deleted, they're just not available to use right now, so I don't have bank memory. Which is kind of bad. I'm pretty dependent on bank memory for my end of cycle summary. So I'll end up doing the end of cycle summary without bank memory, and then I'm just not going to play the game until it gets updated, so I can at least get it recorded and maybe included in the next episode. But anyway, since this is all going to get screwed up here by doing Last Man Standing, I'm just going to pop in there now. We're going to get my lucky first free kill here at Last Man Standing. I'm just chilling on the edge of the world. See where I get. All right, got 2nd place in this game. It's a nice 4 points. Let's see if I can do it again. I don't think I'm gonna get quite enough points here. Ended up in 4th place. Oh, no, that is 3. Okay, so 7. I'm done. So now it's just Barbarian Assault time. Okay, I'm over here at Barbarian Outpost. I'm going to jump on these rocks really quick to mark off this task complete. And then we'll go do some BA, close out the cycle.
I'm here at Barbarian Assault. I'm going to be using the magic shortbow now, which is nice. People are always weird to me about having a used shortbow. I have enough points already from having to go over last time to get the low gamble. Of course, I have to leave mid-wave to redeem it. But I need to get another 900 or so attacker points. I guess I could do defender as well, but so far it's been pretty easy to just come in on attacker. So we'll see if I can get a group here. First group here is turning out pretty well. We're at the Penance Queen. Everything's gone fine. My fellow attacker has basically been AFK the entire time, so I've had to more or less solo it. But having this special attack is really great, especially on the early wave, since you can kind of kill 2 of them for free. All right, going for my low medium gambles, having to beg for forgiveness as usual. Do medium first. Death runes, that's not too bad. Low gamble, maple logs, that's actually pretty good. Okay, got the last round here, have enough points for my high gamble. Go see what that is here. And then we can wrap up the cycle. An archer helm. I don't think I can wear that to do the Frenetic Trials. I think this is better anyway, the thing I currently have. Oh yeah, it's just strictly worse than my penance helmet. It's, you know, shit happens. Okay, well, that is the last task I had to do. I had to do all of these gambles. They're done. Optional tasks, I'm not doing any of those. And farming, I'm done with. Stuff that I haven't done is I don't have the seeds for it. So it's time to wrap up. All right, folks, it's the end of the cycle. It's time to talk about the summary. The bank memory plugin is still not ready, so I'm not going to be able to review the Delta, but I think all my other plugins are working just fine. First thing to look at is XP gain here. With the new resolution, it's going to cover up the skills a bit. But as you can see, here's the XP we got throughout the cycle. Pretty in line with previous cycles. The thing you care about here is the Delta. That's the difference between the XP gain this cycle and the previous cycle. Obviously, fletching is the most extreme here since I spent a ton of time this cycle getting to 80 so we can make the magic shortbow. Range is also up by a ton because I switched to training range primarily to try to get to 70 to make and equip Black D'hide. Everything else is pretty close to the usual tolerances. You'll notice at the bottom, attack is way down. That's because I switched to range. Mining is way down. That's because the new nerfs to shooting stars are even worse than the previous cycle. And then Runecraft is down because I skipped Guardians of the Rift to make up for the excessive failed attempts last cycle. Farming is down due to not having willow and maple seeds. And woodcutting, I think, is just bad luck on forestry events and or bad luck on just the chop rate on trees that I visited. I only ended up getting 4 forestry events this cycle, 3 of which were Entlings, which for whatever reason I get significantly less XP and bark in, but I got a total of 528 bark. As far as upcoming levels from the skill list here, 54 agility will make Guardians of the Rift maybe possible to solo. I'm still probably going to do a group attempt on it next time since I know I can do it with a group. I just don't think the solo strategy works without access to that agility shortcut. Nothing really big coming from fishing anytime soon or thieving, although we're close to level ups. I did finally hit 40 Slayer, which was the big level we were working toward. Not a lot I can do with that other than I can skip killing a couple bats in Silvaria. 36 Hunter is when we can catch the next tier of Impling, Earth Implings, which will just pretty significantly increase the amount of Hunter XP I can get per cycle. It's nowhere near going to keep up with the ratcheting XP costs to level up. The most important level on this board by far is 70 ranged. I think we'll get it next cycle because that's going to let us equip Black D'hide. Look through the loot tracker here. I'm just going to scroll through it. Free to pause if there's anything you wanted to look at more closely. Cool. Looking at the random event log, I've been getting real lucky with lamps. It's a lot easier to get lucky with lamps now that there's so many new events that give lamps, but that's part of why we were able to get so much Slayer XP this time around. Like, I feel like I'm missing a really important plugin. Yeah, the goal tracker. I'm just going to click through these really quick. Feel free to pause if you want to confirm. I did all of these listed tasks, though. I marked Guardians of the Rift done, but I didn't actually do it. We skipped it this cycle.
Didn't do smithing bars or giant's foundry. Just mark that I skipped it. These tasks are all still blocked, and the upper pay dirt is close to being unblocked. I think it's basically guaranteed to be unblocked next cycle, which is going to explode the amount of mining XP I'm going to get, I think. Don't know if it's going to quite bring it back to, pre-Shooting Star nerf levels, but having access to the upper levels means that I'll be able to 100% complete the Motherlode Mine chunk next cycle. So the cycle after that, I'll be able to mine all of the nodes there to depletion, which is going to about triple the amount of pay dirt I could mine, I think, is about the decay rate. A little bit more when you include the upper pay dirts. And while that isn't necessarily going to be a ton of mining XP, it is going to be a ton of, coal, which will be really helpful when I get back into actually smithing. So error tracking, I cleaned up for all the errors from last cycle, the extra clay, the pay dirt, the baby blue dragon, and skipping Guardians of the Rift, and also the Falador agility course error that I mentioned. I made 2 small mistakes. I accidentally double pickpocketed a farmer. I misclicked the farmer that's near the hops pats in Lumbridge. I was thinking I was paying to protect it and just clicked him and accidentally pickpocketed him twice. I also accidentally double planted Haralander seeds this cycle. I got confused as to which ones I'd already planted. I didn't mark it correctly, and I only noticed after the fact that I had double planted. So next cycle, I'm just going to skip planting Haralanders altogether. And then farming, anything that's in red, I physically don't have the seeds for, but I planted everything that I had seeds for. Or in the case of strawberry, I'm not planting those because they're way too expensive for me to protect at the moment. Okay, now let's look at the bank. So new stuff, we got a black mace as a drop, 3 bird's eggs from forestry. They're a lot easier to get now. A hard clue scroll that there's a step that I can do technically. I should maybe check that out. That's basically impossible that I'll be able to finish the whole clue though. A green satchel from the Tower of Life. Can you believe I finally got a Zamorak robe bottom after all this time? I've killed many monks of Zamorak. Most of them have been the one guy that's underneath the stairs in Varrock Palace, but there's significantly more that I get to kill every cycle now. There's a group of them that spawns in the Taverley dungeon, and it's taken me 69 kills to get a bottom, but that's cool. I think that matters for a quest later on. I got some more super combat from the Calphite Queen. This is just some super attack that I put together to kill some stuff that I didn't recant. We made blue D'hide. I got the magic shortbow eye, which is huge, and the rogue trousers. So I'm going to go put these back in their respective tabs here. Okay, I'm going to leave the clue scroll up there so I remember to do it next cycle sometime. All right, slow scroll through the bank. You won't get a delta here, so if you really want to compare this to last cycle, you'll have to take a screenshot and compare it to the last episode. I'm not going to do anything else on this account until the bank memory plugin gets updated, so I can actually save the bank status so we can review it in the future. Oh, and before I go to the chunk picker, let's look at the live split timer and talk about the time it took to complete the cycle. Yeah, live split timer, 62 hours and 8 minutes, actually really close to the previous cycle of 62 hours and 15 minutes. I guess the extra time I took to do the newest chunk, the Dark Warrior Fortress, offset the time I saved by not attempting Guardians of the Rift for a long time. Taking me about 62 hours or so to do this. And you'll see at the bottom there, my total time played 1,676 hours and 26 minutes. We're coming up on that 1,700 hour mark. All right, let's go ahead and roll the next chunk. And after the chunk roll, I want to talk about my exciting plans for the goal for this account, because I think we finally have an achievable finale to work toward. Here we are in the chunk picker. There is too much to go over if I wanted to go over these. So if you want to know my thoughts on all these chunks, look at prior episodes is all I can say from now on. I will say there are 2 new chunks that are rollable. I think these are both. This one's definitely just going to be a reroll. All that's there are some green dragons. This one I think is a reroll, but I'd have to look carefully to make sure that none of these NPCs have different drops than what I already have access to. And I don't think any of these features are particularly new, but why don't we cross that bridge when we get to it? I'm going to go ahead and roll the chunk. Let's see what happens here. Gotten a couple boring chunks in a row, so it would be great to get something better. I don't think that's one of them. The Smoke Devil Dungeon. So this is a chunk I will never be able to complete because I can't physically get... Well, I need to have an extremely high Slayer level to be able to fight the smoke devils that are in that dungeon. but it is technically a new monster that I now have access to that I didn't have access to before. I guess I get a ton of achy trees. Okay. More swamp bubbles that I can't use. And no quest progression. So yeah, that continues the trend of 3 boring chunk rolls in a row. It's kind of a bummer. Not a lot's going to be happening next cycle. So, next cycle, I want to talk about a couple things here. Let me go back in the game. Right, so I was talking about finding a wrap-up point for this account, and I probably edited something about this into the objective summary earlier or in the intro. This whole time, I've not really had an objective for the Bonfire Man account, and the reason for that is that the whole thing has been so experimental. It's really hard to start the account and say, I want to go do the quest cape, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, because who knows how possible it actually is. But now that I've got close to 1,700 hours under my belt, I think I know what is possible and what could be achievable by somebody else trying to do the exact same premise with similar rules to mine. And I think the Fire Cape is actually going to be a really wonderful close to this experience. Getting the Fire Cape is going to require the 1,676 hours of chopping trees to get enough banked logs to get fletching to 80 to make a magic shortbow. It required me unlocking the Taverly chunk to be able to make potions. It required me accruing a whole bunch of prayer potions over many hours of play. These are all the prayer potion doses I have just from PVM drops from like the Calphite Queen and Mammoths and that sort of a thing. And the thing that I think is particularly elegant about ending on getting a Fire Cape is that, one, my attempt at the Fire Cape is going to be extremely high stakes. I only really get one shot at it, because once my prayer potions are gone, they're gone forever. Any ammo I use up in the fight caves is gone forever. I do have a backup because I'm getting pretty close to the point where I can boost to plant snape grass. So my plan is, once I get my level up to 70 range, which will likely be next cycle, I'll start focusing on getting my crafting up to 84, which I should be able to do with my banked gems from shooting stars. Will give the fight caves a legitimate attempt. So the reason I think that this goal is elegant, one, it involves a whole ton of skills, it involves unlocking all kinds of different chunks, but importantly, technically this Tazar Fight Pit minigame teleport would be available as a rollable chunk to a brand new account that was trying to do Bonfire Man. So that account would start with a 1 in 5 chance to roll into the fight caves, and they would have a chance to roll it every single chunk roll after that, right? So if someone else wanted to try to do a Bonfire Man account and wanted to match my goal of getting the Fire Cape, they could do so pretty reliably. Like, a problem with an account like this is that if you wanted to say, hey, let's do the fight caves, there's the possibility that you play it for 7,000 hours and never roll into that chunk. But I think that makes it basically guaranteed that you will see it pretty early. And it would also increase the challenge for somebody trying to do a Bonfire Man account, that what if they tried to do the fight caves without ever unlocking Herblore like I did, right? Maybe they find prayer potions some other way. Maybe they have a much better internet connection than I do and can actually prayer flick to the whole thing and just go in there with a single set of prayer points. We know that the level 3 fight caves is possible, so anything is possible, but I think giving that room to try to prepare as much as you can makes the series interesting. Part of the reason I want to choose an actual objective and close out the account isn't because I'm getting burnt out or because I'm not enjoying it. It's still really fun to run these. The main reason I want to wrap it up here is because it is getting to the point where I physically don't have enough time to churn out a cycle in time, right? I already set the upload cadence to once every 2 months, which to me is already way too slow to get you guys the content that you want. 62 hours per cycle is already kind of pushing the constraints of what I have available to me in my schedule. And with this and the last cycle, I'm finishing this up just in time for me to edit it and publish it to YouTube, which I want to have like several of these in the can so that I have some wiggle room, right, if I need to like take a vacation or not play RuneScape for a couple weeks. And it's become too unwieldy. One thing I am going to try with the next cycle, though, I'm going to try paring down my optional activities all the way, like anything at all that's optional, maybe with a couple exceptions. I have to be careful setting exceptions here, or I'm going to make tons of them. Like, I might still kill the Calphite Queen even though she's optional. I might still kill Scurrius even though he's optional, just because they have interesting drop tables and I'm not going to be able to get KC on them otherwise. But I might like completely skip all of these trees, which is essentially skipping all the forestry for the next cycle. I might skip all of this extra fishing. I might skip all of the 28 pickpockets that I have available to me. I might not do any shooting stars, right? I just want to see how, like theoretically, for the just for the fun of it, how short can I get a cycle down to if I skip everything that's optional? I don't think I can get it that short, but it'll be a fun, like, experimental cycle to do. The short-term plan, just to restate it, is we'll go ahead and do a full cycle next time without a Fight Caves attempt. With me skipping a lot of PVM, that might not let me get to 70 range next cycle. I might actually have to do all of PVM to make sure I hit 70. And then the cycle after that will be the one that I'm going to plan to formally attempt the Fight Caves. It'll be very, very, very high stakes. Like I said, if I fail, I will continue doing cycles to get my farming high enough that I can plant my snape grass. Once I can plant my snape grass seeds, I have enough of these that should make me more than enough prayer potions to do enough attempts that I can win. But I'd love to just, like, give it a shot. I was inspired by Settled's Tileman account, where he had basically one shot at beating the Inferno and had a backup of having to level up Herblore if he wasn't able to clear it. So yeah, thanks for coming to my ramble. Thanks for watching these videos. It's been a real pleasure making them. I probably have ideas for other restricted accounts in the future, especially once I wrap up the RS3 account. I'm definitely at the point where I have the stats that I could wrap up the RS3 account whenever I feel like it. So it would be nice to be able to just kind of put my head down and finish that, and then think about what I want to come out with next. Something that I really, really would like to do is make a Bonfire Man Bible in case anyone wants to attempt this account in the future. I keep hammering that this is a highly experimental concept, that this is not an account that you can theory craft everything from go. You have to kind of just play it for 1,000, 2,000 hours, which is essentially what I did. And in the process, I had to make a lot of rule changes. There's a lot of rules in this account that if I were redesigning this from the ground up, I would do completely differently. I would make it much clearer to understand. You wouldn't have to read a long Google Doc to understand how everything works. And so what I'd like to do is be able to create a core rule set that if anyone else wanted to try to make a Bonfire Man account and race me to the Fire Cape in terms of hours played, or find some other objective that they want to go for, I can give you all the rules that you need, because I don't think there's any other rulings that I would have to make. I think I've seen every kind of possible content that requires a specific ruling, from mini games to PvP to bossing, and I think we can make it so that it feels a lot cleaner from the beginning, and that it maybe doesn't take quite so long, that it wouldn't take 10,000 hours to unlock every single chunk. Yeah, thanks for coming along for this journey. We'll see you next episode for the final bit of prep, and then we will do our big, exciting Fight Caves attempt the episode after that. Bye, everybody.